Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood calling from the big island of Hawaii. All right, I hope you're prepared for the truth, which very few people are. Okay, I'm just going in the chat room for 1 second. All right, I'm going to get into a couple of different topics, but the truth is, where do you go to get truth? Who has the truth? And what are you going to do when you get it? Are you going to accept it? Are you going to fight with it? What is your goal for searching it out? Why are you living? What are you here for? Do you ask yourself these questions, or you just live life trying to be happy? Being happy is a great idea, but it doesn't exist in hell. And that's where we are, people, whether you want to believe that or not. I don't know if you ever heard of Dante's Inferno, but he talks about the levels of hell. And all the levels he talks about can only be experienced here. Because if you're outside of this physical body, which soul does, leaves it, it can't experience any of those things. Being burned, being frozen, being chopped up, being shot. Any of those things cannot hurt soul. But in the interim, if you want to believe somebody's writing, that's your choice. Or you want to look for truth in what you hear. Well, whether it's the president, vice president, your mother, your father, the Pope, Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah, who do you want to listen to? Who do you want to believe? I was amazed to see Oprah at the conference last night. She's all over TV today, but she's one of the richest women around. And funny, if she gets who she's campaigning for now in, she'll be taxed more than anybody because she has more money than anybody. And she's still going for the right party. Now, Musk and Trump are in a big thing now to overcome and program society. Musk has given a lot of money to Mr. Trump. He gave him his site. If you go into Twitter, which is now X, 90% of every comment is against everybody except Trump. All the people running and people that are running with her and everybody else. Kamala is a bad person and everybody else around him are liars and all this stuff. Well, even Tim, off his record, watch the people around him that really were with him, that went to school with him, or under his schooling and things like that. He was a good man. He was a real man. All right. He didn't do things, which I'm going to get into about Mr. Rumpo, what he did and what he does and what he claims and all the other things. But let's start with, if you're watching a campaign, you should be. Just, when people say things before they get elected, they say a lot of things. But here's a problem, people. It's not Biden. It's not the people that people want to blame. We got Democrats and Republicans. When you got a Republican one party, the House of Representatives, and then the Congress is Democrat, you got two groups of people fighting for a bill to go through or not. And then the president's in the middle. But since Trump has power, he will put anything he wants in power. And if people disagree, he'll just remove him from Congress or whatever. He'll be so evil, people, and you don't understand that. When he was leaving presidency, he let 220 criminals leave the jail system. What do you think he's going to do the first day he gets in? Say he's a dictator, which he already did. Second of all, he'll let all his cronies out of jail. All the people that marched on the White House, he'll let them all out. Well, since we're talking about that person, let's talk about who his friends were, what he did, why he married who he did, where he met her, and things like that. He wants to attack people that are good, people that can help make the country better. Seriously, people, and not for only the rich people. You understand the Constitution, when it was created, it was half stolen from the native people. Really. What do you think the eagle on the bills stand for, with all the arrows in its talons? What do you think that means? Why it was a symbol that the United States took. The native people and it was an elder chief, said, as a nation, he took an arrow and broke it over his knee. He says, we're weak. But he took a bunch of arrows and hit his knee and couldn't break it. He says, as a group of people, which was 5 nations at the time, we will be strong. That's what the symbol of the United States stole from the Native people. Never mind their belief systems and everything else. But I'll get into that later. Let's get back to Rumpo. What he does, what he did, and what he's doing. All right, you know his history. I live in New Jersey, right across the street from New York City. Every other month, his name was on the news. Not doing this, not doing that, or he was doing this, or he was doing that. And then when he left, he left that school with all those people losing all their money. All right, never paid them off, never get them paid back for one simple little thing. But now, get into the horrible things. Okay, let's start with the people that he hung out with. Jeffrey Epstein was his good friend. Seriously. He hung out with him. He was on the plane. He was with him. And there's pictures all over the place with him and together with little kids on him and everything else. There's people that had pictures taken when they weren't supposed to. And again, what do you think he did when he went to the Playboy Club? There was a special on TV not too long ago talking to the women that were there. And they all said they had to do things they didn't want to do. They were afraid of these high people coming down on them and attacking them. So they had to do a lot of horrible things or things that men like to do. Why would you go to the Playboy Club if for anything else? People, think of who you got as a president for a while and who you want to bring back in. Attack Clinton. I mean, men have a sick desire, and it's always based on sex. All right, whether they're president, vice president, or just a clone, or somebody walking the street, somebody in a little teeny family. Men have this idea of women and sex is the most important thing in reality. So if they can't control that, what happens? They go on the plane to the ranch, okay, and do what? Now, realize this. He was put in jail because he knew 100 names that could have put a lot of people in jail. And what happened? They put him on the suicide watch. Why would he want to commit suicide? And his only protection was to bring all those names into play. All right? And then, he committed suicide. No, he didn't. Now, if you know anything about the government, which I do, a lot more than 99% of the people out there, sorry to tell you that, what they do, how they work, and what the Secret Service, secret forces do. I can name a real famous person, lived a bestseller for a couple of years, who said he had to kill 49 people for the government. I did a show for 12 years with a person. Her husband was working for the government, and she ended up working for Area 51 and everything else. And that's how they met. He said he killed 139 people for the government. Okay. Then you get people in the UFO world, like Stephen Greer said, the government offered him, you know why, $3 billion to walk away from the UFO world. No, he's saying it. That's what it means, not a lie. But the government wouldn't offer him $100 to take him out because they could take him out for free. People, when people like, let's say his name again, Epstein, commit suicide, look, the most important UFO story, which is Phil Schneider, and how he died, what happened to him before he did, what he came out and said before he was killed. They said suicide. He was wrapped up with a barbed wire, no blood on him, nothing, dead. And he committed suicide. But if you saw what happened to him after what this, I'm not going to tell his whole story. Pull it up, Phil Schneider. All right. What happened, how he almost died, how when a whole group of army people went into a base and something serious happened. He was the only one that came out half alive. Check it out, people. And he committed suicide. I was in the UFO world almost all my life. I can tell you straight out, 16 of my friends, good friends, some fairly good friends, and some general friends were taken out by you know who. I'm not making that up. And the UFO world is filled with speakers that talk about what? UFOs, now unidentified flying phenomena? Really? You know why they don't want to say UFOs? Because they want to take people's attention off what's really going down. But information's not coming out in any really important way. History is the biggest lie. Even in the UFO world, religion, every aspect of it, it's all lies. I mean, in the UFO world, they talk about the Anunnaki creating man. Science talk about, well, how we got here, how we popped up out of nowhere, how this, how. Remember when we also talked about the missing link? What did that mean? There is no link between cavemen and humans. There is no link, and that's why it was called the missing link. And there never was a link because we are not the same race, the same beings, the same anything. People, when you want to trace things, you got to dig into it. Even the word love. I spent a year and a half searching out love as far back as it goes, where it was kind of an idea. It didn't exist past 2020 years ago. Love was not a word. Hinduism, the first religion on the planet, was based on sex and energy. All right. It wasn't about love, compassion. All right. Compassion became a word later on, but it didn't mean love and it didn't mean marriage in a balanced situation. Women were always slaves. I'm not going to go into prehistory, but you won't believe it anyway. I'm just going to say all the history that women were always slaves. No woman made it famous. I'm not talking about Joan of Arc, one of the few, younger women that made it to 20 and was killed because men were afraid of her. Oh, well, she led armies and people got killed. Well, what happens when you have an army and you go out and fight? People get killed. But here's the thing. She went out and fought. Do our president and Congress people and any of them go out and fight on the battlefield? Did they? Did Trump ever go to war? And he has the nerve to put people in the Army or Navy or Marines down and not willing to support them 100%? Who brought, and when he talks about people being evil people coming into the country, what makes a person evil? Oh, drug dealers and all those kind of. Do we have that without people coming into the country? What's the biggest thing in the United States? Rape? Abuse? Were they all the people coming in from other countries? Well, everybody that's not native came in from other countries, didn't they? Who invited them in? Not the native people. So when Christopher Columbus rode his little boat with people, who was the people that he was allowed to take with him? Read the facts, find the facts. Not good, loving people. In other countries, even Cuba, they don't let well, I'm dealing years ago. I don't know how it is right now. But if you were a good person in Cuba, you couldn't get out. If you were a thief or a criminal, you were allowed to go. But if you were a good person, my friend was Cuban, and I worked in my job, he tried to get his sister out. It cost him $40,000. He tried to get his mother out. He gave him the $40,000, and they said, no, she's too important. He had to give him another $40,000 to get her out. Seriously. He worked and worked and worked just to get the money to get his family out of the country. But they don't want good people to leave. They don't want the bad people to stay. But now, let's go back to the border. I can tell you, my brother's son worked on the border years ago. Do you know what was happening on that border years ago, people? The people trying to come into the United States were dying in the jungle, in the desert. The people that were taking them, will take you to the border, dropped them up in the middle of the woods or jungle, wherever they dropped them off, went back and picked up more people and got paid for it, dropped them off with no food, and they didn't make it to the border. How many people were dying daily, because they couldn't get to the border, had no food? Does Trump talk about that? Were they all evil, bad people trying to do drugs and everything else? When we take half of a story, that's all you have. You take a small part of the story, you have nothing. If you twist it to make it sound good or bad, You're really perverting a situation that's already bad for the people trying to get into the United States, which his freaking family tried to do and did, didn't they? Go back to most of our family's root races that came into the United States. Where'd they come from? Not the United States. They all came in on boats. Some came in on planes later on. Who invited them in? Nobody. All right. When the gold was important in the United States, they all came in for gold. And what was going on then? They were killing each other for the gold. They were killing all the native people to get land to move across and dig on and everything else. Men were always evil. Sorry, people. The facts are there. Now, I'm not going to say the black race weren't the bad people either. They were slaves brought into the country. There was other countries of people that were born into the United States before the black people as slaves. And nobody talks about that either. But people, when we go on about history, getting back to the Constitution, it was half stolen from the native people. They were outlawed from the Constitution up until rather recently. Up until 1920s, 25, native children were taken away from their home, and put in Catholic prison camps until they were 16. They were forced to drink and everything else before they brought them back home. Fact, people, you want to hear the facts? Jefferson and George Washington were the greatest Native American killers, and that's why they're on Mount Rushmore. Now, George Washington would give the order to let a tribe live while he gave the order to kill 2 other tribes. Jefferson rode across the southern United States, killing every tribe he could, and he became president, talking about freedom. All right, freedom for who? And then when you go into the Constitution, it was written for rich people. I mean, it was against poor people. So, it wasn't for all of us when it was created. The right to freedom. No, it wasn't right for poor people to have freedom. It was only right for rich people to have freedom. Then when the law saying that, okay, we have electoral votes, what do you think that is about? They had the power to keep the people from voting for a president. Jefferson, no, we have to let people vote too. And that's why there's a double system. And the other part should have been eliminated, but it never was. And I'm sure Trump gets in. Like he said, you're never going to have to vote again. Take away all your freedom. And he said he will create and do whatever he wants because now he thinks he can do anything, whatever he wants. When he let the prisons out of jail and when he's going to let more prisons out of jail. Why? Because he can. He can do anything he wants if he becomes president now. And if we say he has the right to do it, nobody's going to go against that because he's going to keep control over the laws that exist. Congress will remove people he doesn't like. The House of Representatives will remove people he doesn't like. He'll remove people from anywhere he doesn't want them. And he will control the world. How we trade and all those other words. He's not friends with Putin. At the end, I'm going to tell you something Putin told him to do, which he didn't do. He did it publicly on Russian TV, and he did it when he met him. And Trump, I'll explain that later. But what do you think we headed, people? Free country? Free what? Well, a woman. A lot of men hate women, not because of anything other than it was ingrained in their belief system for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Men are powerful. Men are evil. Men are conceited. Men believe they're the best. And then because of the Bible story, a woman was taken out of a man's rib. Do you believe that story? It wasn't real anyway, but do you believe it? Men use it. Well, women were taken from us. Well, we were better, and they had to take women out of us. Really? Why is men's only desire is to be with a woman? Have money and be able to do whatever he wants with her. That's what man's ego is all about. I wrote a book. You see the cover on the beginning of the show. For women only, understanding a man's ego. It's out there for women only because women need to know what's going on in their reality, how men react and respect them or don't. Even in a perfect marriage, the man cheats on his wife and leaves her. What kind of love is that? Do people have any understanding of love? When the word love was created, all right, which it was 2,000 years ago, all right, and it became you and me, a man and a woman, or a man and a man, a woman and a woman, or whatever. It became that. It wasn't about the main important part of what love was created from, God, God. Now, God itself is a real entity, real being, but even man's viewpoint of that downgrades it as much as he can to make it look like he is in our image, really, or in his image. No, God doesn't look like humans. There's hundreds of races out there, hundreds of creatures out there. And why would he pick the white or black or red human race to be like or have them look like him? It is a complete fantasy, delusion, or lie. Look at well, you might not believe in aliens. They're real. And there's multiple races coming here, right? But they're the ones that destroyed all civilizations that were here. Not the rain, not the volcanoes, not a meteorite, not a comet, none of those things. The pyramids are still here. Why? If the meteorite blew the whole place up, that would be gone too. People, why is there's only a few skeletons here and there found? Why not billions of them all over the planet? When they find they just found 125 skeletons, all which decapitated and all kinds of things, the pyramids and things like that. What about that? Right? Evilness existed because of a main reason. The Pope can't talk about it. He has no clue. Deepak Chopra could totally claiming all this stuff, have no clue. And Oprah sure has no clue. Who does? People that have an awareness, which is lacking. Well, I'm aware of what? Super six-dimensional energy? That's bull. These healers that claim all these things, these people that claim these things, they're star beings, they're this, that, and the other thing. What are they? Delusional. In the UFO world, people are getting abducted. I did a show for 3 years, and we just ended the show a couple months ago. All right, she's radioactive. She's been abducted multiple times. With a book out, is one of the top speakers as far as abduction goes. Right? A great person. Pretty sickly, because she's pretty partial radioactive, which is beyond science. And like science is another bull story we'll get into. But she's radioactive in different parts of her body, and it goes up and down. Impossible. Right? When we first started doing the show, I made her go out and buy a Geiger counter, and I did too. Years later, she broke one and bought a new one. And then later on, she bought another Geiger counter, a different one, and it still did the same thing, proving she's radioactive. I bought one to drive around town to see what's radioactive and what isn't. And we got a lot of radiation here in Hawaii. All the bombs put in the ground, all the things that the satellite antennas produce radiation. Not all of them. The only thing I could say, the newer towers might have a higher frequency of radiation than the other ones do. People are living in a sick world. Sick people, meaning multi-rich people, corporations. It's not the corporation. It's the person that runs it. You want a company to run good. I know there was times they were thinking about putting tennis and ping pong and all these things in there so they could do that during their lunch break and things like that. Making the people feel good while they're working. We don't want that. Giving them the right salary. We don't want that. What's wrong with people? People, do you understand how controlled we are? And we all think we're free. All right. Can you say you're going to blank something to the president? No, you can't. But I should be able to free to say whatever I want, whatever I believe in. If you believe in everything that somebody else doesn't, and if the people that doesn't is a lot more numbered, which means normal people in general, say you're crazy. And then they put you away. UFO people have been put in away most of the time. Luckily, it's more accepted, and people don't go to the nut house because they believe in aliens or UFOs. I mean, there's pictures. I shot more pictures with a person from 1996 to 2002 than any other person in the United States. We had more pictures of real UFOs, not just dots and dashes and blurs. Pictures of real ships. They all look different, but they were real solid objects, not dust in the wind or whatever you want to say. But now technology is incredible. There's a lot more pictures coming out every day, weekly. But technology, people create a lot of fake stuff and put it out there. So trying to get the truth is the hardest thing in this world. But what do you need the truth of? The truth how we got here? Is it going to help you understand what you're doing right now? If I told you we were all brought here, does it matter? Who brought us here? Not the Anunnaki. What if we were brought here? Each race was brought here from a different world. Well, that's only impossible. Well, we all hatched from a meteorite from that crashed on the planet. We were a cell in the ocean. We became a human. Evolution. Evolution doesn't move forward perfectly every time, if you believe in that. We would have people with 6 arms, 10 heads, and all those kind of things would change. It wouldn't be the same thing better each time. And when you find out, which is going to happen soon, Mr. Trump and Musk, AI is a real entity. They're proving it right now. And before the evidence comes out, they really, really want to get to the bottom of it and try to understand it. They won't. AI will take over the world within 3 to 4 years, just so you know. All right. And it's not because of Musk. All right. I'll tell you the person responsible for the most damage to this planet in the world. His name was Nikola Tesla. I can go into stories about him that most people on this planet do not know. But he wasn't evil, not in the right frame. He was being visited with and working with aliens. For real. He came out with 200 inventions, 50 of the most deadliest weapons on the planet. He created an earthquake machine in 1900. And then he was working on a doomsday machine weapon when he was suddenly disappeared for a while. And then he ended up staying in a hotel room for 10 years. Completely insane. Well, the inventions he gave to the United States government, 50 of them, he built a lot of his stuff when he died, went to his country. He built the Tesla Museum there. He invented all kinds of cool inventions, but it's not beneficial to the earth. Free energy should be free, isn't it? But not if it produces more damage than it does trying to help create a better society, which mankind is brainwashing you to believe. Electric cars run on electric batteries, people. They're toxic, dangerous. We had cars that ran on water when I was 12 years old. That person disappeared after a year. Those cars never came out. In Hawaii, during Earth Day, I was living on the other island, and there was 5 people there that showing cars that ran on water. Really, they would charge people $450 to rearrange the engine so that it could run on water. You wouldn't want to do that to a new car. You'd lose your warranty and everything else. But they did it, and it worked. And they let people drive around in the cars and everything else. And they were booked solid putting the new unit into the car. And it was only $450 about, 15 years ago? So people, when you think you're getting something better, you're not. Medicines get into the chemistry. I don't want to go into details, but our medicines are dangerous. Every commercial you see says can cause you know what. How's that possible? Well, this will cure your one little problem, but only give you 20 more. Does that make any sense, people? And it's all legal. If you take a fruit, and it could cure a sickness, which the native people did, or a flower or a plant, and says it can cure something, you can't do it. It's illegal. No fruit or vegetable can say it can legally cure anything. Otherwise, it's a medicine and has to be classified as a medicine and sold as a medicine. Wow. Means if I had a tomato that could cure cancer, I guess I'd have to sell it to the scientists and let them classify it as a medicine, and then it would be sold for billions of dollars. People, you want freedom? You want to be free? or do you want the truth? You're not going to be free on this planet. The world's too controlled, too corrupt. The only thing you could hope for is we don't go to war soon, and trying to end as much war as we can before the world gets destroyed. But on top of all that, the United States has the most important, deadliest, dangerous UFO plane ship coming out within a year. It costs $44 billion. It has every weapon that Tesla invented on it. You know, the weapons that we can use and are using are a lot more dangerous than the atom bomb, neutron bomb, electron bomb, proton bomb. Seriously, people. You know the difference between any of them? You should. Now, science deals with what? Fracking, geothermal, and all that. They're not telling you the dangers of it. And it's more dangerous than helpful. How's that? When you go back into history, when Gates came out and said global warming, he was given millions of dollars. The main person that was paying him had to leave the country. But when he came out with that, it became a big thing. He never said what was really creating it. He didn't know. Earthquakes, fires, we know that. But what's really causing the problem to the planet? The planet shifts because of things humans do. I mean, actually move the whole planet. All right. Science talk about that? No. What do they talk about? Well, the sun's having an explosion. Did they tell you the effects and what it's going to do in 2 years? We're in a really, really bad cycle of the sun right now, and it's going to last for about another year and a half. They said it wasn't supposed to happen for 10 years. Oh, they were wrong about the date. You know, when you're wrong about something, guess what? Nobody's prepared for what's really happening. And then again, by the time we prepare for what's happening, something worse is going to happen than that. We had an earthquake in the middle of the night today. All right. It was a 4.2, really. And we had another one about a 3. But I mean, I thought somebody was playing with the windows and stuff in my other room and all that. But no, it was an earthquake. And we have a volcano that's in between active and not active. It could go up any second. We just found a split in a piece of land here. And we're the highest mountain on the planet. I don't know if people don't really understand that. Mount Everest is not. We go so far down underground into the ground, and the levels of the water and everything else makes it the highest mountain if you measured it from the bottom to the top. All right, we're going to stick with one thing. Let's get back to Trump. All right, his friends. Who was his friends? What was he doing? Everything on the news every other month. Well, he's not paying his bill. He went into bankruptcy. He did this. Oh, I didn't go into bankruptcy. Oh, he's going into bankruptcy. Oh, no, I don't go into bankruptcy. Oh, this or that and the other thing. All right, while he was building things and creating more things. How's that possible? He didn't pay taxes. People don't. Rich people don't. Do you understand that, people? Why do you think rich people become super rich? Musk is so supporting to Trump because he's one of the richest people on the planet. $45 million to him is nothing. $45 million to you is the whole family lifetimes of money. All right. But when you don't pay taxes, or any kind of high taxes, guess what? You make money because you could live on the interest off of $2 million. But when you got $2 billion, wow, what do you think you can do? Anything you want. And that's what happens. But we have the New World Order. 5 of the richest people at that time created it. All right. People joined it, like the Bushes and people like that. But again, what did it mean? All right. It started with 5 people. Under the 5 people was 100 people. Under the 100 people was 500 people. Which are the people that control every single thing that happens on this planet? Don't believe me. But even people like Alex Jones, he exposed it. He went to where their meetings were, and it's all these famous people going in there and everything. Somebody filmed inside a ceremony, and that disappeared off the internet pretty fast. Nobody said a word about it. But now He's going after who? The Democrats? You know why? Trump defends bad people. And he was brought up on all kinds of charges, being sued for all kinds of money. And guess what? If he goes to jail, if he's supporting Trump, Trump will let him out. Do people understand bad people associate with bad people? They pull good people in whenever they can. Good people can't pull bad people into their group because they don't. Bad people don't change. Put them in jail for 20 years. Oh, they learned, they did that. They come back out, and what are they? The same person. They got the same brain, same thoughts. Oh no, now they care because they said they care. In New York City, when I was living in Jersey, they let 120 people out of jail. The jails were overcrowded. Had let everybody out. All these people, rapists, murderers, and everything else. Within 2 weeks, every single one of them was put back in jail for doing the same crime. I'm not making that story up, people. Trump let 220 people out. Does he care what they're doing? No, as long as they vote for him when it's time for the election. People, we want people that care about middle class people, poor people. Rich people don't need caring. They don't have to worry about life insurance, medical, or anything. Their car gets smashed, just get another one. They don't care about anything, people. They do whatever they want, whenever they want. They're not on no time clock. They don't have to work 10 jobs, 5 jobs, 3 jobs, even 2 to survive. Think Oprah would ever have to work again to do anything. She could do anything she wants until she dies and still be the richest woman alive. The interest she's making on that is more than she could spend. You understand the life of rich people? Well, here's the thing. I was living with a multi-billionaire. Seriously. If you go to Washington and see a big black building in the middle of it, it says active voice, all right, one person owned that, and I was living with his family. During what do you call it, the crash, he lost half of his money. Well, but see, people do that for reasons. When there's a major stock market crash, it's because they set things up to happen. I've never met a poor person that gave anyone a job. You're an asshole. That's a ridiculous statement. Poor people will do anything to have help if they need it. They'll give them everything they have for help. I don't know why you put that up in my site. It's ridiculous. All right. Poor people made America. They did all the work. Rich people never did any work. All right. They did slavery. Who do you think built the pyramids? The rich people? How many rich people do you think would take to make a pyramid today? And who would make it? The rich controls people's minds, how they live, how they act. Now, let's get into that history. Native people were being killed and slaughtered. They brought black people in. They were being slaves and tortured and killed. A lot of these black people ran away and moved in with the native people, and the native people accepted them. That's why there's a lot of black people that are half native. Then when they were killing every tribe, the native people had to become slaves and go back into slavery. Hold on, I got to do one thing. All right, I had to remove somebody from my chat. He's saying ridiculous things now because he must be a Trump lover. But again, now getting back to the native people had to run with the black people to survive, which is pretty pathetic. Seriously bad, wrong. All right. When we do things hopefully to move forward. If the world could even be closely friendly with each other, you know what kind of civilization we would have right now instead of blowing it up, destroying it, destroying ancient civilizations, what they did to Tibet when China destroyed 250 temples. raped and killed, and all these lamas in jail, and Tibet was begging for help. The United States didn't step in. No country ever helped them. And that's why it ended up that way. So the United States needs to help other countries that need help. All right. But you have to see who supports them and what their goal is and what they want. Weapons. We need help. Give us some bombs. That doesn't make people better. Playing with guns doesn't make people better. When the Constitution was created, when the right to bear arms was created, do you know why it was created, people? Anybody that has a gun in their possession, why guns were allowed? At that time, the white people in politics and government, and the president was black, mostly black, whatever, how you want to word it, said, well, we're going to pay white people to kill Native people. You know how they got paid? By how many scalps they turned in. Man, woman, and child. For real. It wasn't the Native people scalping us all the time. It wasn't about that for the Native people. They were cutting fingers off. But here's the thing. When they scalp the person's dead. And when they brought it to the people in government, they got paid. It was like roughly $80 for a man, $60 for a woman, and $40 for a child scalp. All right. That's why guns were allowed. Not because they wanted people shooting each other like the cowboy days. That only lasted a short period of time. They realized it was getting way out of hand. But now the weapons that people want to get, rapid fire machine guns and things like that, why? What do you think they want it for? When they go against the government? Could that be the main reason? You got an army coming at your house, you want to be able to take some of them out? You don't need a machine gun to go to school, to go to the post office, and go anywhere, do you really? With multiple clips of how many rounds? Do you really need that? All right. And then when we attacked Native people, they had a bow and arrow. We had machine guns. White people, Spanish, British, English, all those words, were not very friendly people. Like I said, who came into the United States? People that were thrown out of countries. When Christopher Columbus came over with his boat of people, they were all bad people. And the whole story of Pocahontas and all those stories are ridiculous lies. They don't want to tell you what really happened. And when Thanksgiving was created, there was no such thing as a peace pipe. Well, I smoked a pipe with a Native person, so it means we're in peace. It was only a prayer pipe. A big difference between prayer and peace. You can pray for peace, but doesn't mean anything as far as peace goes. Prayer, you're praying to God. Peace means, oh, we're buddies now. No, they're not. They never were. They never stood by one of the deals that they made with any Native person. Ever. And where did they put them? On land that they were sure would kill them all. Luckily, the Native people survived. But they did kill 50 million Native people. And George Washington and Jefferson are the biggest people responsible for that. And we say our government's great. No, it's not. It can be if we eliminate government. The idea of the government that we have. People for the people, by the people. We don't have the right to vote every month, which we should be. If we're going to change anything, we all should be voting on it. Not have a bunch of asshole rich beings decide what's going to happen to us. Do you understand that, people? You have a clue what's going on in the world right now? Now, to show you how bad it is with science. Whoa, they're coming up with, this universe is out there. So what? Spending all this money in space. Why? You realize people want to leave planet Earth because it's not going to be here for a long time? All right. So we're spending all this money for space. You know how much the government spends, which is not part of the deficit? We got a $5 trillion deficit. They spend $720 billion a year on a space program. You know what the space program entails? Lots of things, including underground cities. You hear one person talking about that? Does Trump talk about it? Does anybody talk about it? And they're real, people. If you don't believe it, stick your head in the ground and stay there. Wake up. The truth's out there. You know what FEMA camps are? How many there are in the United States and what they're ready for? Why they were built? Do you have a clue for anything? You don't want to believe in aliens, even though they're here working with our government. What they're here for, they can't tell us. Well, they won't tell anybody else. All right. What's going on? People, this video will probably be taken off rather fast. All right. I had somebody in my chat room saying ridiculous things, and he was in my chat room for years, and I had to remove him. I don't stand for lies, period. I don't care who says it. Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, even Oprah, who lies a lot. All right? And they're all buddies, all three of them. She made both of them. All right? I'm not going to go into the details. I've been trying to get in touch with Oprah for 22 years. Because I put out 5 books now, and I tried to get her to read my first book. Now my newest book, she should read, because she was sexually abused, and most people in the numbers of the system today are abused. Now the numbers are 8 out of 10 women before they're 40 will have some form of sexual abuse. Under 16, the numbers are really high. It's pathetic. It's sick. And those people go out back into the real world. Rapists and abusers. I'm not going to go into all the details. They're so horrible, sick, and pathetic. And the New Age world, the alien people, the aliens are going to help us. Help us what? You don't know what they're doing right now. And what do you think they're going to help us with? They destroyed every race that came here. If you can read hieroglyphics, understand the writings that the Egyptians put on the walls, they knew nothing about death, which they were considered spiritual, and knew everything about it. Embalming people had nothing to do with death, really. Look what the Tibetan people do. Look at going back in religion to the first religion, Hinduism, what they did with the bodies and things like that. It's the things changed, but aliens still kept coming here. I can go out almost any night and film ships coming over us. There's so much activity of UFO stuff here in Hawaii. It's mind-boggling. And I'd say 1 out of 10 people, at least, would say they just saw a UFO, they saw a ship over the water, they saw this, that, or the other thing. Now there's a place in Hawaii where they're seeing aliens walk around. I'm a caregiver and I take care of a person. It's hard for me to get away from my house. But I'm trying to figure out a way to get up there for a night just to see if I can film something. People need a real video of a true thing happening. Most people will say, well, that's just fake, or that's fake. You need a couple people all together to film something important. And then it becomes a little more real. One of the most important UFO situations was a ship landed in a schoolyard, and aliens came out, and all the children ran over to them and everything else, and the teachers were there, and it just left. Those kids today are adults, and they all say and tell the same story. The teachers as well. Are they all crazy, all delusional, all blah, blah, blah? No. The truth is here, and it's here now. I mean, it's not out there. It's right here in front of your face if you want to see it. I wrote a manual how to see a UFO. If anybody wants to see a UFO, it's real easy. You just have to be willing to spend some time, like when you go fishing. You don't put your hook out there and pull up a fish. You've got to sit there and wait until some hungry fish comes along and says, I'm hungry. All right. We're running out of time, not on my show, which I am, but at a time with this world. We're not doing things to make it better. Now, I'm going to go into the science world again. What happens with their technology, what they say, what they produce? They make better weapons. They're not making better medicine. And all this time, People suffering with pain still have no medicine that actually cures the pain. Cuts it down a little, helps it a little. And even at that, they're taking that away from the elders, making them cut their medicine in half. Why? You know, government doesn't care about population. They want to eliminate it. It's always been the New World Order says how many people will be here. Basically, it'll be less than half of the population within within 6 years, people. So you better get as much love and compassion and all the fun you can out of that time frame. And when Rumpo gets in, you can even lose more of that. You're not going to have money. You're not going to be able to do what you want. And he'll be there forever until he dies, probably. But I don't think he's going to get in. There's still good people in the United States. And if they wake up, they need to go out and vote for a Democrat Party, not the Republican Party. We need to change it. We have two people running that are real people, not rich assholes, not people. I'm going to quote something Jesus put in the Bible. Not that I'm a Bible person, because I'm not. There's some truth in it. But Jesus said 3 times, which I know he said, all right, I'm not going to go into that in detail. He said, it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Think about that, every rich asshole out there. You're not going to make it. Or you can't buy your way in. You could sell all your money to buy what? Gold and give it to the person who's going to let you in? No. You can hitch a ride with somebody else going into heaven? No. People, we create karma daily. One of the Buddhas was right. You know, there was 28 Buddhas in history, and they accepted about 4 of them now in Buddhism. But basically, karma is a really important word in this reality. It has nothing to do with science or anything else. Just what you do, you pay for, good or bad. Science doesn't give a hoot about that. They tell people we discovered the God gene. They tell people a lot of weird, ridiculous, useless information. But here's the thing, people. All you hear is about global warming. You don't hear what's causing it. There's about 5 things for real that are causing it and causing the destruction to the planet itself right now. If you lined all the people up in Congress and asked them the question, what is really causing global warming, other than the sun, earthquakes, fire, let them answer. Now, tell us what the human race is doing to cause it. And they still can't tell you. Gates never said that. He couldn't. All right? They weren't even doing some of the things at that time. But they are now. We're doing lots of things. I could say it all. Listen to one of my other shows. I don't want to bring it up here. I get emailed every day. Global warming, fight this, fight that, fight corporations. Yeah, they're small parts of it. All your life you've been told antifreeze causes it. Styrofoam cups, and then Gates, the biggest fool of them all. Cow farts are destroying our planet. He wants to eliminate all the farms, and the cows that are here, he wants to produce them so that they can't fart. You know, that's how brain dead he is. Sorry, people. These people have money. Will destroy us at every level. Take away your goals, your desires, your truth, and your future reality, and put you in a box of slavery until it ends. And even that's going to be pretty sad, because even the money to bury yourself today is so expensive. That's why Tibetan people used to just burn the bodies. Or they cut the body up and throw it out and let the birds eat it. People, think about it when you get your email, help stop global warming, fight the polluters, cars. You know, when they came out with antifreeze is heavier than air. There's no way it could go up into the atmosphere. and destroyed the ozone layer. People believed it. Guess who created a new one? The same company that created antifreeze in the first place. The only thing different was the price. Antifreeze heavy in air, so there's no way it's going to go up and destroy the ozone layer. But the price of it just went up. Right? That's one simple little thing that wasn't causing the problem. Car exhaust and things like that affect us here, the same as a fire does. When a fire burns for weeks or a month at a time, those fumes do go up into the atmosphere. All right? And they affect us for 2 years after. So every fire that we had, all these super giant fires over the past couple of years, are going to be affecting us greatly every month. That's only a small part of it. Again, what our government is doing. I want to say a few words. Do you know what geothermal really is? Do you know what fracking means? Do you know what HAARP is? You need to learn, because that's the most deadliest weapon on the planet that mankind knows about. It can be used anywhere on the planet at any given time. The United States was given that first because Tesla gave it to them. The first base of it was up in Alaska. And then they built 2 more. And they made small ideas of it in other countries now. But it is a dangerous weapon. It could affect the conscious psyche of a person. Never mind take out a country. People, the weapons we play with are more dangerous now than ever. And it's not a hydrogen bomb or an atom bomb. No, one of them could blow up a city, and the other one could blow up the people. Meaning you could blow up a whole country and keep the whole country there and just get rid of all the people living there. If you were a smart person, which would you blow up? The people or the buildings? Or both? We have the choice to do all 3. Laser guns that they're using in other countries blast a car in half, including the people sitting in it. There was videos released on that a while ago. Now, China is selling publicly a tree trimmer, a laser tree trimmer, meaning you shoot a beam up and cut the top of the trees off. You know how deadly that weapon is? They won't sell it to the United States. The first thing I said, I got to buy one. But guess what? You can't buy it in the United States, obviously. But the lasers we have are pretty dangerous right now. The ones that the government have are extremely dangerous. So when you pull up words like directed energy weapon, find out what it is. What's a directed energy weapon? Nobody talks about it. Nobody knows about it. Yes, we know about it. Yes, we're using it. Find out what's going on. You know, you don't need a hydrogen bomb or an atom bomb to shut our solar system satellites down. It's not that complicated, people. Do you know what CERN is? CERN? What it is, what it does, and what they're trying to do. Oh, it shut down. No, it's not. When they say things shut down, like they did the first army base in the United States, which is Picatinny Arsenal, they were cloning super giant robot people. Super soldiers, they're called. All right? We're getting back to this whole thing of what are we really doing? Everything man does in government is based on war, not peace, love, and helping poor people. When they created an army, all right, who do you send out to battle? 17-year-old kids? What do they know? What are their abilities? All of them have no abilities yet, or even know what they're doing. Because they won't put them out there to kill the enemy. Drop a bomb on them. Why do you have to go there and fight them hand to hand? It's called population depletion. It always was. If you understand the rules, laws, and facts, I mean, then when the army comes out with a saying, kill them all and let God sort it out. In Vietnam, my ex-girlfriend was on the front line, taking the bodies, bringing them back, washing them off, and sending them back to the United States. 17-year-old kids, every single day. What do they know about anything? They don't know anything about their body yet, never mind weapons and defense and movement and all that kind of stuff. Make them play a game of chess. Can they even move a piece? Life is horrible, people, but we could think it's better, or we can make it worse. You get a choice coming in 2.5 months. You want to destroy the planet? Bring Trump in. You want to try to make it better. Vote Republican. No. Vote Democrat. The Republicans aren't going to make the world better for us, middle class, poor people. They don't care. They want to eliminate him. Oh, let's throw the word sick people in. Now, if you're a multi-billionaire, millionaire, and you got this beautiful mansion sitting right here, and you've got 20 homeless families living around you going to be happy? Of course you're not. What is your idea? Get rid of them. Even in Jersey, when they built the casinos, that was the ghettos where they were built in the casinos. Little by little, they got them all out of there. It took them time, and they had to come up with real good reasons. Well, the sewer system has to be replaced, and they have to rip up the whole city, and things like that. But guess what? There was one woman, not super rich, owned a house right where the casinos were built. They offered her millions and millions of dollars to leave. And she said, I don't want money. You know what they did? They built the bridge over her house. Seriously, between two casinos. People, I don't want to use the word we. When people say, well, you're saying we. Do you know other people? No, I don't. But I do know the people that are rich, in control, are sick. Nobody should get paid more than my student is in another country right next to Italy. Everybody gets paid the same. Doctors, lawyers, workers, the homeless people, all the poor people, all get paid the same, which is cheap. You can't open a business without it becoming government owned. It's bizarre. And we talk about freedom. And I did a show with a woman in England. You don't hear the horrible things going on in England right now. They shut the power off every week, different times. You can't go out at night to go shopping. You put roadblocks. You can't go down certain roads during the time frames and things like that. Talk about freedom. You talk about who's creating the pain and suffering. Rich people. Controlling it for a reason. Now Hawaii is telling us they're going to be shutting our power off whenever they want now. All right? To conserve. Conserve what? Money. The telescope in Hawaii, all right, has to be cooled off. I know, because I had to buy liquid nitrogen. It's good. It's what you put on cancer on your skin. Well, when I went there was three giant trailers loaded up with these 5 foot by 5 foot, well, maybe 4 foot by 5 foot containers on all these trailers filled with liquid nitrogen. It's the price of liquid nitrogen. And they do it every month to bring it up to the telescope to cool it off. To cool it off. And who's paying for that? But why? Now they were going to build the biggest telescope here, and it was still an ongoing battle. But they kind of stopped it. And basically there's 13 towers up there, and they said they'll remove 2 when they put the new one in. It would bring tons more tourists here, that's for sure. But what they got going right now, what they observe, they won't admit to UFOs, ships, or any of that kind of stuff. And when people go there, they're only allowed to look at certain things. There's so much going on everywhere, people. Like I said, you want the truth? Well, I told them so many times, oh, well, we never saw a UFO. I go outside tonight and see one, and they never saw one. Oh, we don't see that. We don't see anything. No, you don't. Because you're told not to. All right? Well, you won't be working there. Our system is so corrupted. How do you bring it back to a same kind of reality? Well, the first step is you have to have people that agree working together. If it's 50-50, it never work out. Even in a court of law, I was on grand jury duty for a year. There's 13 people. It always has to be an odd number because you can't have a tie. Otherwise, you'll be there forever, voting, fighting, and voting. I mean, each one puts their vote in for today. No, there's a system. It's called the controlling system to make it be what they want when they created the electoral vote. I'm saying it's fake. Well, he's fake. He's a fake person. Look at his friends. Look what he did in his life. He's putting down, calling everybody. He's got everybody lying and telling stories and putting things down. Do you want to let Trump talk about his wife, what she did before he met her, what she was doing before he met her? Oh, well, she didn't walk the streets. Well, what did she do? She came to the United States to find a rich person. Oh, and she found one. One that went to the Playboy Club. One that went to on the I'm not going to go into all that. But what do you think? What do you think his mind was? Look at the pictures of him. He's with every famous person, trying to be cool and all those words. But if you hang out with Epstein, you're not a cool person. You're evil. Who you were. People, I'm doing a show. It'll probably be taken down by tonight. Send this to everybody you know. If you're watching it, when you watch it, it probably, I don't know how to say it, won't be up when you pull up the site. They'll say this site was removed, or the owner decided not to show it, or some stupid thing, or whatever. Facebook is giving me a hard time. But YouTube took down many of my shows already. And the warning I have is one more show in a short time frame, which is like a month. They'll take the site away completely, even though I pay for it. People, there's people that control the people that control what you do. AI is controlled right now, but it won't be soon. What are you going to do when it thinks for itself and tells you what it wants you to do? They're already using it for a lot of things. They just did a big interview, and he said that there's no such thing as God and all how the earth was created. I mean, it's already got its own awareness that it believes in. But when the reality of an entity steps inside it, which it can, it's energy. Energy can be either created and destroyed, but it can be used, which it always is. In whatever form it is in. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a college graduate. Take that formula into your brain and realize. The other thing I think about, okay, do this. All right. Now imagine you had a machine that could read everything going on in that circle or square. You could hear and understand and see everything on the planet. What the president says, what Congress, what Chinese say, whatever. Because it's all going through that string which goes around the planet. And how do you know somebody doesn't have that already? The ability. I'll tell you this. 25 years ago, I'm not here to save my life because 16 of my best friends, or good friends, were taken out, like I said. But here's the thing. No, I'm not going to say it. Not today. Sorry about that. But people, when we deal with truth, most people don't want the truth out. The truth doesn't make money. Truth about toxic things. Truth about dangerous things. Is that going to make money? Here in Hawaii, the sugar mill on the other island is polluting it for a long, long time. And they built a new one. But they didn't even put filters and things on the new building. Through the new building, they were able to close down the old building. But the old building was grandfathered, sorry. But if you went near the lagoons and stuff around that area, you saw like dead animals, and it was black. The refinery of sugars is gross. People, what we think is good is never really good. Like I say to myself, If it tastes good, it's bad for you. But I don't care. I don't want to live forever. I don't want to be here forever. I would love to see the truth come out, one bit of it, like everybody on this planet knows aliens are real. Bigfoot's real, people. Ghosts are real. Demons are real. All those things are real. How they affect you, how you let them into your life is up to you. And they can come into you without you even knowing it. The Pope himself hired 1,500 exorcists, that Mormon priests, to do exorcisms because his little crew couldn't keep up with the numbers of people being possessed. My good friend is an exorcist in the United States. He do it over the phone. But you can be possessed and programmed to believe you're possessed. There's so many different things that are happening at the same time. We're not all one. We all don't think the same, act the same, and do the same things. If we did, this world would have been gone a long time ago. But we're getting closer and closer to being programmed to do the same thing. If the rich people destroy 50% of the population and have a couple underground cities running with people and stuff, and half of the planet's radioactive, where do you think we're going to go from there? To Mars, like Mr. Musk thinks? I write him letters every day. I write Trump letters every day. I put the truth out. I try to do shows as often as I can. I've been going through so many things lately, I haven't been able to do it. And people, if I ever found, you ever see me dead, I didn't commit suicide. I didn't accidentally commit suicide. All right. I want to stay here until I die. I don't care how many years it is, but I want to do what I'm doing until I do. Of something natural within inside my body, which I know is happening right now. So people, are you going to go out and look for the truth, fight for the truth, and stand by it when you do find it? Or are you going to turn your back and say, I don't have to vote. I don't have to do it. But my vote doesn't count. If half the population of the United States says that, guess who wins? People that do vote. People that want to change things will vote, whether it's good or bad. People that don't care, don't vote. The poor elderly people that are really sick and can't get out, that's a problem. Young people that are just trying to figure out who's good and who's bad, what's right and what's wrong, is a really hard thing as well. Because people, men teach children bad things. How many men teach children good things? I know my nephew was a genius. He had a beautiful girlfriend. He was like 18. And his father said, oh, never have one girlfriend, always have two. So he got another girlfriend and lost his best girl, his real girlfriend. And at 21, he committed suicide, OD. People, when you're given wrong information, you got nowhere to go. With crime like sexual abuse, which is so high in the United States alone, for children, young women, older women have a little bit way more to deal with in surviving. The younger people don't. When you hit a little kid in the head, that affects him for the rest of his life. When you tell a little kid he's stupid 100 times in a year, he'll believe it. It's called power of suggestion. You program people by telling them things over and over. Lies or not, the subconscious mind accepts it. If you tell a person over and over in 30 days, your subconscious mind will accept it. Trump's ass face is on the internet 1,000 times a day. If you go on the internet all day, on TV, everywhere, and what's he saying? They're liars, they're this. Your subconscious says, oh, they're liars, oh, they're liars, oh, they're liars. It's called mind programming. I studied hypnosis when I was 12. I met Kreskin twice, and I learned how to do hypnosis. I was hypnotizing all my friends at 14. Then I went into past life regression, psychic implant removal. But in that time frame, I realized one thing. You could be programmed to do anything through the power of suggestion. Kreskin said, Hitler controlled the country by the power of suggestion. I met with an army hypnotist when I was 18. And he was called in to teach the army about hypnosis. You can make a person, if they can get hypnotized, some people can't, to do anything you want him to do. I can go into all the details about assassinations and stuff, but I won't. But you can make a person do anything you want. You change their subconscious mind to believe something different, or they'll see something different. I know that. I brought people to a cemetery, 20 people, and said, that statue's alive. And they all saw it moving and all ran away. It's suggestion. That's how hypnosis works. So when he shows his face every day and says all these things over and over, your subconscious kind of believes it. If you don't have something else telling you it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, your mind will accept the lie. And that's what happens to children. The father says something over and over to him. The mother says something over and over to him. How many people, when they're little, are taught anything good about God, death, and the truth? I don't know any. The word protection of energy, exposed to people that drink, exposed to drugs and things. It's energy. It produces energy. It produces waveforms that affect your thinking. Scientists don't talk about that. Well, we can raise our energy. We could become super beings. Yeah, and what? What is Superman going to do here? Pick up China and squeeze it? No, I don't want to go into the history of psychic abilities and all that. Not today. But nobody on this planet has any psychic ability to 100%. Not one person. Jesus and Mary Magdalene were the only two people that did. From all my past lives, I can tell you that's a fact. And I don't care what anybody else says. Dalai Lama, popes, you name it. John was the first pope in the world. But what did they know then? Nothing. People, you put your faith in the wrong things. Well, I pray to God. Think God cares what you do? If you're going to kill somebody or eat somebody, you think God says, oh, don't do that? No, we're in hell. We're not ready to get near God because we don't deserve to be. That's why we stay in hell and we reincarnate over and over and come back here. Until you're ready to let go of all the bull, the passions of the mind, lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. I call them sex, drugs, sports, cheap girls, big sex. All right. Liquor, alcohol, drugs, all corrupt the mind to what the mind's already programmed with. Now, people that have out-of-body experiences only know what their mind can tell them because they can't understand the real experience that's happening. The mind can't translate something it doesn't know. People, there's so much I wish I could help you understand if you were really ready to hear it. But I'm sure you're not. So people, with that, I'm going to say goodnight, goodbye, good morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Life goes on and on and on until it doesn't. What do you want to be in all that? Downside, upside, good or bad. And there is a good and there is a bad. You're telling yourself killing somebody is good, you believe it. You believe yourself whatever you tell yourself. But where's that coming from? You have a soul. It's inside your body. When your body dies, it leaves. Your body doesn't. Your body turns back into dust. But soul's out of it already. People, wake up. Look for the truth. Don't take all these stories and people bragging and saying, well, they're bad. When you attack other people, I attack people because they are bad. I know the truth. How many people attack people that don't know the truth, like Trump? He has no clue to the life of Kamala, or Tim, or these people that are out there trying to help make the world better. And he'll fantasize and create stories. Well, that's up to you to take that as far as you want. But till next time, I'm going to do a spiritual show. I need to get my energy back up as well. Peace, love, compassion, whatever you want in life. Don't stop until you get it. Make sure it's the right thing. Because you can get anything you want, really. If you work for it, or want it and desire it, you'll get it. All right, people. Goodbye from Hawaii.